The Delta cabins were positioned on the outer edges of the camp's grounds. Our cabin was blue with a red roof and at least twice the size of the other cabins we passed along the way. Inside was an open living area with wide planked wooden floors and rough timber on the walls. 6 narrow cots, like the kind you see in army movies, were positioned around the room. At the foot of each was a large plastic storage bin the color of dirt. 6 beds? "We're all together?" I asked. "What do you mean?" Angie asked. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "You don't want us in the same cabin as you?" "Well," I gestured to her and Riley. "You're girls." Juno and Yakov laughed. "At least you're observant," Amara said. His voice was deep, and he spoke with an accent I had never heard before. He took a breath and let it out with a sigh that made it clear he thought I had no business leading the 5 of them to a bathroom, let alone in the upcoming competitions. "And modest, too," Angie said with a grin. She threw her stuff on the bed closest to the door. "Don't worry, Captain. Sharing a room with a girl isn't nearly as scary as you think." "I mean..." My cheeks burned, and I decided to drop it. There was one bed across the room positioned under a window. I claimed it and tossed my bag into the trunk. When I looked up, Juno was staring at me. I glared back for a moment, hoping he'd look away, but he didn't. He just kept right on staring, tilting his head one way, then the other. "Lighten up, Cambridge," I told myself. "If you're going to make this camp work, you're going to need some friends." I drew a deep breath and let it out slowly as I straightened. I met Juno's gaze again, only this time I imagined I was looking at one of my friends from school. "Yes?" I asked finally. "Why us?" Juno asked. "You're a Delta and that's fine. You can pick who you want. But I don't recognize you, so I don't think we've ever been at the same camps before." He glanced around the room. "I know these guys. None of us have ever been picked for Delta teams before. Why do you pick us?" The others moved around the room sorting their belongings, but they did so in such a silent way it was clear they were all listening, waiting for my answer. I shrugged and then gestured to Riley, who was putting her clothes in the bin beside the bed she'd picked. "Riley recommended you guys." Riley groaned from her cot across the room. Amara turned to Riley. "So you know this guy?" "I don't know him," Riley said. "He was just on my bus." "She was running her mouth," Yakov said. "Talking about how if she were a Delta, she'd know who to pick to win the whole thing." Amara turned back to me. "And you believed her? You believed some girl you'd only just met on the bus? She's never been on a Delta team before, you know." "Neither have I," I said. "What?" everyone in the room said in rapid concession. "This is your first command?" Juno asked. "You gotta be kidding me," Yakov said. Command? So this was some kind of military camp. That, or these guys took camp activities way too seriously.